Greetings. Hi there, this is John Lawrence, and today we're going to be looking at an intermediate composite intro. This is a good start to looking at the Sony Vegas Pro platform using composites. Okay, so first and foremost, I'm going to go ahead and start up my program here. Go ahead and open up the files that we have for this lesson. Okay, first thing what we want to do is make sure our project properties are set right, and the best way to do that is to take the main clip that we're going to be working with, go ahead and drag that into your timeline, and go ahead and click on this button right here called the Project Video Properties, and they have a nice little tab here in Vegas where it says Match Media Settings, and this is perfect for what we want to do because we want to match the settings of the file of how that file was shot within the camera. So let's go ahead and choose the clip. So the first thing that we're going to do is let's go ahead and just roll out some of these audio files into the timeline. Let's start with the dusk file. This is actually the music bed. Okay, we're just going to add these other audio clips into our timeline. This way we can see exactly what we need to change. Do we need to change any volume settings? Okay. What I had done in the example was I took the distortion squiggly sound and I just used it intermittently as it passed through. So what we can do is just go ahead and clip like just a second or so of that, like so. Okay, and that's probably enough right there. We can delete the rest of that file, and we can just go ahead and copy that and paste that twice. So we've got 3 of them. Let's go ahead and adjust our audio levels, because sometimes audio levels could be a bit overbearing when they're just right out, you know, just raw from wherever they were created. So let's go ahead and listen first. So it appears as though this clip here is going to need to be dialed down, and what you can do is solo the clip by pressing this button here and listening to it on its own. You can see that it peaks at that point, so we're going to press the touch button, click the volume slider, and that gives us our envelope here that we can work with. So let's set it down just a little bit and just see if that fixes our issue. That's good, because I don't want any of the peaking of this audio file to appear over -8 decibels. So that's at 9, so we can even afford to bump it up just a tad. See? So that'll work for that. Let's go ahead and solo out the next area, which is the sound effects of the television tone. Those could work. That could be a good sound for that. And let's go ahead and solo out this next track here and listen to this one. Okay, so you can see where it jumps up here. So what we're going to do is do the same thing, and we're going to place a point here where it jumps up, and we'll place another point here, and we'll just kind of drag that down a little bit and play it back and see what that does. Okay, so that works. Alright, so let's go ahead and just take off the solos. That way we can hear them all play back and see if everything is not... Okay, so you can see that when we play them all 3 together, these guys here are kind of bumping up the notch a little bit. So let's go ahead and make some adjustments with those. And I could just plus my zoom time here. That down here in the corner, this little plus minus, if you didn't catch this in previous tutorials, this will allow for you to expand your timeline so you could see things in better detail. So what I'm going to do is just grab one of these by clicking in the upper area of the screen here and just dragging, and that highlights that individual clip. Now I can simply, after I go ahead and set that volume slider, is move the volume slider down, and it just does that part of the clip. So I'm going to play that back and see if that volume is acceptable. Okay, that's still a little too high. It's breaking into the 7 range, so let's go down just a tad. Okay, that'll work. And I'm going to do the next one. Now I can just duplicate what I've done on the last one as far as the amount. Okay. I'll go ahead and play it back from the beginning. Okay, good. Never did my levels jump over -8. I mean, just a tad, -7.8 or 7.9, that's acceptable. But I believe once you start getting into like the 7.4, 7.3, you have a better chance of having a peak or some audio issues on playback on the final copy. Let's go ahead and put our title in there. And what we can do is right-click on the top track and simply just insert video title. Or insert video track. I'm going to right-click there and add a text media. And in that text media, I'm going to go ahead and drag that to the beginning and put a simple fade in the beginning there for composite effects by. Okay. For the first composite effects, I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller. And I'm going to click on the actual thing so I could see it in my window. Go ahead and make that a little bit smaller so that's acceptable in the window. Let's say about 60 looks about right. Okay, so we've got our composite effects title there. And I'm going to go ahead and click on the placement tab and just move that down to about right there, say. And just to stick to the tutorial and the original tutorial that I used, let's go ahead and try and I'm going to just pick a font, that I find suitable for this. Okay. And actually I want to grab both. Okay, so I'm going to settle on a font that I like. For the first top one, I'm going to go with the Tahoma. Let's see. Okay, and I'm going to make that, I'm going to leave it bold. And I'm going to leave my name just in the font that it is, which is the Cambria. And I selected a line to the right, so that's why my name is on the bottom here on the right. And I'm going to add just a little drop shadow to that. The next thing I want to do is add the color correction. So let's go ahead and open up the video effects button here on the actual video file. And you can get that by clicking on this button or right-clicking if you didn't catch that earlier. Okay, so I want to go ahead and choose color corrector, Sony color corrector. And that's how we're going to get our change in color over time. So to do that over time, I'm going to press the animate key and make sure that your sync cursor to media timeline button is pressed in. So then that way when you move your cursor, it moves along the timeline. Otherwise, you can do that and it does nothing. So you can't really time your effects well then. So what I'm going to do here is just blow this up a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. And I want to move these these sound effects, but I only want to move this line. So what I'm going to do is go up here to my auto ripple and choose affected bus tracks, markers, and regions. And I'm going to remove this here, the ignore event grouping. And as I slide these over, then the timing should come with it, or the envelope settings. Okay, so let me just take a look at this. I'm going to play it from the beginning. I actually want these to occur a little bit after this sound right here. Okay, I'm going to move that a little bit closer. Okay, so at those distortion sounds, now that we have our color corrector open, I am going to go ahead and move my cursor to the first keyframe here, and I'm just going to find something here that I like as a first setting, and I like to just I'm going to bump the saturation here a little bit, and I'm going to turn the gamma down just a tad, just to give it that postcard type of feel of where if you were to actually go there in person and look at this on a nice day, it would look something like this. It was a little overcast that day, so basically we're just adding some color to it. Alright, so I'm going to move my cursor in time forward, and as soon as I hit that bump where the it's actually called the distortion squiggle sound effect. I'm going to go ahead and just blue that out like so. Just I want a real drastic change once I hit that sound effect. Now, if you notice, if I just go ahead and leave it like that, it kind of gradually goes into the blue. So what I want to do is go back to my original keyframe, copy that, move forward in time, right up until I get to the blue setting where it changes to blue, because we know it changes right there once it hits. So I want to move this forward just a tad and go ahead and paste my next frame there. So right here is, it's still normal. I'm going to go ahead and slide this over. Now, as you can see, they're both selected. Just click in there to deselect it. Okay, so you can see it more. It's more drastic now. All right, and as soon as that's up, I want to go ahead and copy the original keyframe of the original color palette and paste it here. So then that way it literally pops in and pops out. Let's go ahead and just hear that and see it with the audio. Okay. So I want to actually hold that keyframe in the middle for the entire length of the sound effect. And how you would do that is right click on it and put a hold parameter. So then that way it holds it up until the sound goes out. Alright, so that's my color change. I like that. Let's just do something else to it. I'm going to grab the high color setting and just move this up just a tad, just to give an interesting look. Go with whatever you think looks right. It's, you know, that's the wonderful thing about taking a tutorial, is that you can go ahead and change it based on how you need to use it. Okay. All right, so I like that, and I'm gonna go ahead and simply just copy all of those keyframes by just highlighting them all and copying them and moving forward in time. And I'm just gonna go ahead and move forward right till I get to the next sound effect, which is about right there, and paste them right there. So it'll do the exact same thing. Yep. Okay. I'm gonna do the same thing for the next spot. Paste. Okay. Alright, so we got our colors down in that respect. Now on the way out of this, I want it to kind of go to like a white. Like I want to blow everything out to where it's all white. So what I'm going to do is just go to the end of this file and go to my offset setting and just blow it out. What I want to do so it happens drastically is copy the last keyframe, okay, where it has a normal setting, and just, you know, right before it, go ahead and paste it. Wonderful thing about Sony is that if you make a mistake, you can always go to edit and undo, and it'll just undo your last move, which most softwares will do. What I need to do is just be more direct when I grab that. See, I want to just grab it, copy. Now I don't want to grab all the other ones. All I want is that one, and just move it in time forward and paste. So then that way it just blows out right at the end there. I want to drag it out just a little bit more. Okay, let's just play it back just to take a look at the end. Yep, that's what I wanted. Alright, so the next thing I want to do is take that title effect and throw a blur right when it hits the sound effect. Okay, and how I'm going to do that is simply go again to the event settings. You can right click on it or hit the event effect tab. I'm going to choose a Gaussian blur. Okay, and initially I'm going to have to choose the animate button because this is going to happen at a specific time, and right now it's lined up exactly where I want it to happen. So I'm going to move the vertical over, and I want to make the horizontal go to about like that. You can go either vertical or horizontal, as you could see. I kind of like the horizontal for this. All right, so it happens directly at that point. I have to do the same thing as I did on the last effect. Copy my original keyframe, move forward in time, and I want to plop it like one frame right before the move, so it happens instantaneously. Okay, so what I want to do is make sure that this original keyframe has nothing on it, so I can just go ahead and drag it back, and see it has no horizontal range or vertical range. And if I move forward right there, bam, I got the movement Okay, I'm going to move forward, and right here is where I want it to go. I want it to snap back. So I'm going to go ahead and take the horizontal range and just blast it right back. Okay, just like so. So you'll go ahead and play that back. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Okay, so I can go ahead and move forward then and grab all those keyframes and copy them and move forward to the next sound. Okay, paste, and do the same thing at the next setting and paste. Okay, alright, now I should have myself a nice little intro title to a composite effects program. Voila. There you go. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Have a good day. This is John Lawrence.